did not hurt us. Now, they scored 28 points on us, 28 in the first half, because of corners. And by this game, I was talking about, we were real lucky. To win a state championship, you gotta be lucky. But we were real lucky with no major injuries, no big injuries inside, but our corners were just decimated, and they weren't real good to start with. And by the state championship game, we got two little old lanky receiver guys lined up at corner. Neither one of them, if they fell out of the boat, would hit the water. Neither one of them. I mean, they would not. Now they could run a little bit. But they were not defensive players. And because of that, we were playing run so heavy, so hard. They were play action passing, and that receiver would come down and make this out cut, out and up, in our corner, they'd throw it and score. So we were down 28-14 at half. We had a little come to Jesus meeting at halftime, and with those guys, and said, "Hey, is that out going to beat us, or is that deep one beating us? Don't play it, play it late." Finally they got a message, and they didn't score anymore, and we beat them 48-24. But this is how we stop their run. That's their game. The whole idea, what we always wanted to do, we wanted to take away the thing, or try to take away the thing that offense does best. Make them do something else that they're not as comfortable with. And that was the case with Mayfield. We wanted to make them have to throw the ball. Now, at first half, I didn't know if I was going to have a job in the second half. But we worked through it. But anyway, we declared strength that way. And
then you would just play, if they had a slot out there, then you just play your either cut or your...
Now, this is if, and sometimes they would do this. They'd come over there, and that's really unbalanced. Now, this was a special thing. We would bring our raider over, and it was going to end up looking like this. And against these guys, we were going to play that cut two thing, where this guy wasn't really we felt we could match up there. He wasn't it was these two guys we were more concerned with, but it was the run. So we were going to play cut two. This guy's cut out of the equation. Now we're going to play cover two, and he's going to be the force. We're going to come up, we're going to shuffle and take him on. And if he showed run like it was a run block, we were going to come take him on, that push-pull deal, and we're going to make sure that we had contained. And we felt like we were really solid up in here. And we were. When they get that, they wanted to, whether the quarterback was under, and sometime he was, they wanted to toss it to that back that, gosh, he was quick. He wasn't big, but boy, he was quick. We all played him in 10, right?
We played him in 10, and then we lost to him in 11 in
right.
the semifinals.
Yeah. Okay. So you know what I'm talking about, what they do, and but that didn't hurt us because we had a way of playing it. Now, if they motion back, this guy was going to run back, and that was go back to what we were doing, and now he was going to line, and we were going to probably going to play either cover two or we could play, mostly with those guys, we were going to play 4 because it was run. We wanted our safeties, and that's why the corners hurt us so bad, because our safeties, they were playing run.
Now, your corner, when you play cut, he plays off?
If we had a really good one, I've done this in years past, we would line him up inside and just in a press and just say, get after it. But we had to know that guy was better than that guy. Now, if we didn't know, then we were going to back him off probably about 7 yards. Most everybody when we got in that kind of deal, they thought we were cover 3. And it's not. And so, I don't think people really realize, you know, what was really going on with the coverage wise. But our front was gonna be, we felt like it was gonna be solid.
And your corner and your will and cut are man on the other side.
Yes. He's manned up here and he's got any back out. And that's why we want a runner there, you know. Now, if we felt like this was a mismatch between those guys, in fact, a lot of times we would combo these guys. If this guy ran out, then we just let Will take him because we didn't want that Aaron Ocampo seam stuff, you know, to beat us again, you know, and if we felt that matchup was better, or if we played a combo call with that, he was gonna take anything deep and he was gonna take anything short. If that tight end came off and did that and the back came out, well, he's gonna jump that, you know, that kind of deal. So that was how we, that's how we lined up to Mayfield, and to me, they're the king of unbalanced. They do as good a job as anybody with their format. And the one thing I didn't want to happen was, you know, they may come out in this and then shift everybody, you know how they change the whole deal. We didn't care because these guys can't shift. We didn't care. We knew all the adjustment was gonna happen back here. And it was stuff that they'd done before. I mean, they'd always done. So that was kind of the idea.
Oh,
This was
Coach,
going against the rule here because normally he was always weak. Because it was, we call this an over. We made an over call. Anytime we had 2 people on the line of scrimmage and nothing, and we had strength over here, and that Raider saw that, he's saying over, 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 and he's talking to himself, but he's communicating to the corner, and he's coming over because they're unbalanced.
Now, what if you're not in cheat and they did an overcall to you? Would that ever happen?
If we're, yeah, I mean, it's the same deal, same rules. We wouldn't change these guys, I mean.
But would you check cheat if you were in strong?
Yeah. Now, you mean if they come out in this and they had an over, they had something like this, you know, whatever, something like that, it's still an over. We're gonna keep that the same, and we're gonna over, it's gonna come to be the same thing. Raider's gonna come over because there's nothing out there. And now that corner, he has no one to cover, and he tells the Will, check the back, check the back, and now he can be really quick to the other side. Of course, they have 4 potential receivers, and when we get in secondary, and we did this against them too, we would make a not so much in this overset, but they would get us in the deal where we make a robber, cover 2 robber, and our backside safety comes across and robs number 3. In this case, it would have been the corner come across and rob it, probably the tight end if it came out, or the next threat. But it's the same deal. So that's
What other fronts would you guys run other
Okay.
than the strong and the cheap?
well,
Those are your 2 main.
Those are base. This was one of the, I think, one of the toughest formations to defend. I'm looking at this guy when I'm saying. Because, so, when our Mike sees that, we call that ace. He's like, you know, two tights, two tights and a wide. So he's gonna check our front. This was our normal, check to it. He's gonna check to nose. We were gonna have a 4-eye over here. We were gonna have a 4-eye over here. We were gonna have a 9 and a 9. And our linebackers are gonna widen out pretty good. There are several ways to play this thing. If we wanted them to be both 4s, then our linebacker's gonna widen out. If we wanted him to play his normal 5 technique, then he's gonna scoot back into his normal alignment. Now, when we say nose, I've never coached a defensive lineman that could 2-gap. I just haven't had. I know the pros do it and colleges do it. You know, they'll take that big old nose and he throws that center and, you know, he makes a play either gap. We never had that. Even though we had a guy that was 300 pounds, the not too smart guy told me, he was about 6'4", 300 pounds. But when we called nose, I wasn't asking him to read that center and get to that A-gap. Nose meant he was gonna be a backside gap player. If the center zoned this way, he's gonna take him on and he was gonna be a backside A-gap player. And of course, if it was zoning and everything was going that way, if we weren't too concerned about zone read or whatever, then that will linebacker, when he got that zone, he was running to that A-gap. Our Mike now is gonna come down. If we were 4, he's running downhill. He's starting off to that gap. If he sees him coming, he knows he's shuffling and he's gonna gap exchange, that whole deal.
Is that game plan again, coach, with your stud? Is that you know,
Yeah,
from your
that would be a
form?
game plan. If we felt like they were more apt to run that little inside zone stuff that your back was so good at Manzano, then we're gonna play true nose. But if we said, if we wanna do this, we just call it nose 54, you know. The nose is still gonna play it the same. He was gonna be the backside gap player and he's gonna take that center and try to squeeze him down, but he's not trying to out-athlete him to that A-gap. Because we wanted a linebacker that's backed off and getting a quick read to run downhill, run to the hole, you know.
So your backside in then, is he now hands-on side in?
Okay, if that guy came off right at him, he's gonna hit him. If that guy come off inside, he's just shuffling, and he's gonna be a C-gap player. We're gonna be cover 4, which now these safeties are keying tight end. If that, you know, they're creeping up, you know, with our cover 4, they wanna make it look 2, but they're gonna creep up to 4, and then when after the ball snap, they're creeping, they're reading. That creep steps are read steps, and if that tight end's blocking, now he's gonna get ready. I'm either gonna be cut back, you know, that diamond on the ball, or I'm gonna be force, whichever the case may be. I'm gonna force the thing. Same thing with this guy. Now, if it were pass, you know, if they release this guy, you know, we were gonna, when we played cover 4, we played an outside, what we call click and bail. Outside the receiver, and he comes off, we're gonna click our heels. Let me get where I do. We're gonna click, and then we're bailing. We're bailing. We wanna always stay outside and on top of. Outside and on top of. We may very likely have a safety that's playing a robber technique that's gonna rob all inside cuts. Especially on this side, if we were concerned about that guy and it was a pass, we probably were gonna combo these 2 guys on this guy and whatever else comes off, if he came off inside, we're gonna let the mic take it and he can set and take back. Or if we were really worried about him, we're gonna get him up in there real tight on him and lock him up, cause he was a good player. And now we tell Mike that he's gotta back out or whatever. And now it's a true, you know, if they run a dig or a curl or a post, a post, post, he's gonna come up and be under all of those. And this guy's gonna be on top of all, and so we double up.
So your free safety, if you made that call, is gonna have no tight end
If we
responsibility.
made that call, he has no tight end. Now, if we just made regular call, he's reading tight end. If tight end released, now I've got him if he goes vertical or, if he comes vertical, I've got him. If he just immediately goes inside, then I'm turning, I'm fixing to rob.
So he's not gonna cover a drag.
No. We're gonna turn, if we play in regular cover 4, then this guy is gonna play a flat, the only time we ever set in what I call, to a spot coverage would be something like this. And he would be the flat player. He's gonna get to a position about 15 yards deep. We want these guys to take those shallow crossers and just wait on them. We want him to take that 12 to 15 yard, any kind of dig route or anything like that, and not jump that, because they're gonna come in right behind him and throw the ball, if for some reason our safety's not there. Now, he's just kind of the extra guy in this cover, but we'll cover all that.
The corner, what point does he bail? Is he
On
bailing
the
at
snap of the ball.
At the snap? And how far is he off?
We start our corners about 4 yards off the line,
So
off the
at
line
At the
scrimmage.
snap, click, and then bail?
Yeah. In other words, those clicks are reads, you know. The minute he's gonna click, right there, I'm reading what's happening. That receiver's coming off, now I'm opening my hips up and I'm turning.
So
I'm
click, he said, get a pass run read?
Yeah.
Coach, real quick, and we're moving on to the coverage and stuff, but your backside tackle in nose,
Mhm.
is he's still reading the man inside?
Right,
He's reading that guard inside of him?
change, and nothing
Doesn't
changes.
change.
So if that guy did that, he's closing hard as he can. If that guy did that, he's shuffling, he's closing. Or whatever, if they were doing that, he's running. You know, that, against y'all in 10, that's what we had to do the second half. Because we were trying to play cheap, into the, wide side. We were hoping, because of the short side of the field, you know, in New Mexico, the hashes are so wide. We thought, well, maybe that field's so big but you didn't do it. You didn't fall for it, you know. Dang it.
Man, you guys were good enough, but on our zone, we'd hit a good cutback all
You
the
did.
time. Because
It was.
a lot of time it was that backside safety
It was
making
the
the
weak
tackle.
side, zone stuff that y'all made those big plays. and
How
so-
much does the back determine what you're doing in the shotgun with the because Cruces High, we play Cruces High, who runs a lot of two tights.
Right.
It gives us problems with the stuff they do.
And what was your credit about the back?
Like the back where he's aligned, does that do anything to your front or your linebackers? or
Not really. The only thing it does is in game planning, in film work and on the field and when we're going team, there's times that offense, especially early, like on Monday and maybe a little bit Tuesday, the offense will come up and they'll show the formation and I'll say, all right, freeze. All right, and I'll real quickly, I'll say, let's say they were I and they were set like that, you know, offset fullback. And I said, okay, right now, what's gonna hurt you? What plays have we talked about that's gonna hurt you? And he'd say, this is it. All right, and especially linebackers. I check these guys out. Well, what have they done out of that you need to be aware of? And backside, what do you need to be aware of when it looks like everything's over there? You know, and so in the game, when they see that, I'm hoping, and I think they did, their mind, they're saying, oh, yeah, get ready, they're gonna try to run that power and pull that backside guard and lead, you know, or they're gonna run the lead, or against this front, it's hard to run lead. Again, not so much this, against cheap, strong, boy, it's hard to run lead. I mean, you're having to run it so far inside, nobody likes to do that. When you've got a 3 technique and a 7, people just don't wanna run lead, so they don't. They're gonna run it over here, and that goes back to those drills and those keys. Do it so much that they see it in their sleep. And that, again, goes back to practicing what you're gonna see without what I call all the fluff, all the movement, all the stuff. Practice it until, if these guys have a big idea that, man, that lead is real possible here, I guarantee you, if I'm that Will linebacker, I can be there in a second, you know, if I get that thing.
Now, I'm just asking this question. How'd you do with teams where you didn't have a lot of good guys up front? I mean, obviously you're not gonna
Yeah.
do as good.
Right.
But
Again, I'll say this, we still tried to play technique. There's probably gonna be a little bit more movement maybe, if we feel like somebody is just getting bold out of there, and we also taught this, like if it was a double team, or even just a base block, and that guy is just so much better than I am, and I'm taking him on, and I feel that I'm going, we told him, you better fall, drop like you're shot. You know, what we didn't want to happen was him get pulled, you know, pushed back, and now all linebacker angles are cut off, and now that hole is just widened out real wide. So we worked hard on pad leverage, you know, technique. I've had, way back, I've had some kids in here that weren't, especially at this position, weren't big at all, but they were quick and they used their shortness as a leverage, and they become hard to handle, just because of that leverage point, you know. But I mean, that's a fine line. I mean, if that team is just, I got it better, I mean, you know, I personally don't think that the answer to that question is, let's just start getting that, track stance and just try to, I think it makes the offensive lineman job easier. I would still rather have a lesser defensive guy in there trying to fight and trying to hold ground than just run himself out of the play, or run upfield, all of a sudden here comes that trap and the ambulance is coming out, and mom is mad, and that's just me. Now that doesn't mean it's right, but I just always felt like, this was my feeling, if we can play, I think I may have said it, if we can play base and get kids to believe in playing base, then if we want to bring a blitz or a movement or whatever, I think we're going to be better off, because they haven't practiced that much, because we don't do it much, to give you an example of that, we were, I think I said El Paso Bel Air, they ran the wing tee, and this goes back to game preparation. We knew we were going to be in cheat. We knew that we were going to line up like this, because boy, this is hell on that wing over here. We were going to roll that thing this way, probably play cut 2, or we could play cover 2, or we could play 4. We could play 4 and just let that guy beat on this guy, let him come up, click and bail, and he's a flat player. I mean, so there's a lot of options. But anyway, what I was going to say is, in watching film on El Paso Bel Air, every time, in every film I watched, when they lined up in a twin set, they were gonna run the lead. I don't know why. I mean, so we went into the game with idea, and we told old Michael, he said, every time they get a twin set, we know we're checking cheat, but we want a red. Red to us meant our line was moving. We want a red to the twins. In this case, it'd been red right. So he'd be saying red right, red right. So that meant that guy's gonna take that lateral step, and he's going to a position, like in strong. He was taking a lateral step, and he's gonna take that 5 technique. He's taking a lateral step, and he's gonna get to that 4-eye technique. So we were gonna put somebody in that lead hole, and try to mess them up.
Would you only run red if you were in cheat?
No. Most of the time, this was about the only thing because of where we're alignment. Now you could, but it was hard for that nose to go from a shade nose all the way up to a 3. Now we had some, I think that book may have it, we had some thing, we just never did do it, where he was coming here, he was coming all the way under, he was coming under, we were, I can't remember how it was, I mean, it's in there, and then we were bringing something off the edge, like a corner blitz and whatever, and it was coming all the way, and that kind of screws up some blocking, but in this case, that was our game plan. When they gave us a twin set, and that back was to that side, then we were gonna red it. We were gonna red. Well, I mean, they got coaches over there that get paid too, So after we had just blown up that lead a couple of times, well, then he starts running, this way, and they kick him out, and I don't know, they create a little gap in here, and they make 5 or 6, 7 yards, and pretty soon I said, well, they figured out that deal. So Michael comes over and I said, hey, no more red, no more red. So now we're hanging tight in our cheat call, and they try that, and we just stuff it, Well, and I told the Will, I said, now, we're not redding that thing, so you better get ready, because they're gonna come back and come after you. Well, he meets this back, they block out, block down. He meets this guy, I know, at least a yard or 2 yards in the backfield. And now this back is coming, because it's that belly, that belly lead deal. And the quarterback and the back are all, it's all messed up right in front of them. And then he tries to bounce it, and boy, we just got him dead to right, So, that's what I'm saying. We go into some game plans, and sometimes they're not good, or they figure them out, they counter. And so, but we could come back to base. That was the point I made a while ago. My thinking is, if you're a defense that is just totally sold on we're gonna stunt every play, when that doesn't work, where do you go? What do you go to? And I don't think there's many options, But I think if you play base and you're pretty good, but maybe you're getting hurt, then have some movement, bring something, bring a secondary guy, bringing those guys off the edge, like you were doing last year at Manzano, and that's all right, but anyway, and because we were so zoned in the back end, now we did some blitzes where we were zero, where we had no safety, and we were bringing some stuff, and they're pretty effective because nobody's ready for them, because we don't do it, but I don't know, I just think teach them, let them live and die in base, and then play some games if you have to.
This season, we played our base defenses a lot more, probably 70% of the time, and
Right.
blitzed about 30% overall. And, we had a really good defensive
Yeah.
year, I think, 16 points per game.
Yeah, I mean, every score I looked at, it looked like you are.
Yeah, but our big problem was, in our base, when we started going to the cover two base defense, when we did it in, at Manzano,